Bookies! Today I'm going to be going over some of my favorite sci-fi books. I don't have a lot of them because I split them up from dystopian, but so it'll be a short video, but let's get started. So I have been a lover of sci-fi for so long. My first venture into the sci-fi dystopian genre was Uglies by Scott Westerfeld. I read that when I was a teen. I really loved it. It's been a downward spiral since then. I love a good book set in space. And I don't know, there's just something about the vastness of space that just makes me like very happy. I don't know. But I have a few books that I would like to share with you that hopefully you can check out. A lot of these I don't see on other lists, so maybe you'll give them maybe you'll check them out or something. The first one I have up is Heart of Iron by Ashley Poston. I know this is fairly popular. There's others that are not as popular, so give me a second. This was the first one on the stack. But Heart of Iron I thought was really good. This is, well, this was, I think this was Ashley's first foray into sci-fi. So the jump from contemporary to sci-fi, I think she did very well with it. Basically, this is a Anastasia retelling. There is obviously our Anastasia character, who is, I think, part of like this outlaw group. There's a robot. There's two other people. It's LGBT friend, like. There's so much that goes on in this book. It's like part heist, part Anastasia retelling, and then like there's like a little bit of chaos with the AA, it kind of rang true of like lifelike, you know, it along that same vein. But yeah, super well done book. I loved all the sci-fi elements of it, and I loved how she wove in the Anastasia retelling, but it wasn't just about the Anastasia retelling. There was a lot more encompassing the book. It's just really good. I also haven't read the second book yet, so no spoilers. The next one up is The Diabolic by S.J. Kincaid. This one, it's another retelling. I don't know why I like sci-fi retellings. I just do. This one is a... I guess you would call it Prince and the Pauper retelling. Like, the basic premise is that, okay, so, obviously, set in space, there's this girl, who gets kind of like a robot look-alike, so it kind of goes into, like, that Padme trope. I don't know what it's really called, I just call it the Padme trope, because of Star Wars, where there's someone that looks like our Padme character, who goes and does the Padme things for Padme, so Padme is not in danger. Same concept here. There is this girl who is of very high importance, and there is a kind of robot-ish AI, her lookalike, who goes to these important things to stand in her place. Because they are designed to protect the one that they are created for, and to basically kill on sight if you're doing some sketch with their person. So that's basically what this is about. I can't really go much more into it without giving away what happens. It's a fantastic book. I immediately gave this to my husband. He liked it as well. I have the sequel. This is a trend of mine. I have not read the sequel yet. So, sorry. But so good, I recommend this. Next one up that is not a fairly popular choice. It is Amid Stars and Darkness by Chani, Lynn, Feener. This is such a sweet book, and it's a trilogy. And it rings true of like that classic YA, like, you know, like Twilight-esque era. So if you're into that, this is going to be the series that you want to pick up. Our main character, and again, this is like kind of Prince and the Pauper-esque. So what happens? what happens? There's this alien princess, and I think her name's Lissa, and she's all like, you know, I don't like the rules. So, she, you know, kind of disappears, and they're looking for her, and they think that they pick her up, like the alien bodyguards. They think that they found Lissa, and they take her back to their home and everything. Turns out it wasn't Lissa, it was this, Earth girl named Delaney, and oops, now we have an issue on our hands. So have to quickly teach Delaney all about this alien life, and like she's like, oh my god, I didn't even know these things existed. There's also like a love triangle, which is, you know, the classic YA trope, the love triangle. But you know, I read this I think last year. I really loved it. Like, possibly one of my favorite books that reminds me of like the early YA era. I recommend it. I do. Alright, up next, which is probably one of my favorite sci-fi books, and it's another retelling, I know. It is Brightly Burning by Alexia Doon. Absolutely love this book. When I started getting like a little bit more critical of like my reviewing, I picked up this book, and it did not disappoint. There are so many references to this, to the work that it's based off of. It's a retelling of Jane Eyre. It's so good. Basically, our Jane character, she lives on this spaceship, and what happened is kind of like the 100-ish thing that happened, where the Earth is uninhabitable, and they're just kind of like, you know, waiting around for it to be inhabitable again. The ship that they're on is a wreck. Simply put, it's a wreck. And it might not last that much longer. But when Jane gets an opportunity to, where she gets another job, to go onto this other ship, she accepts. She goes onto the other ship. And there the Jane Eyre story takes place. It's full of the creepiness of Jane Eyre turned up tenfold, and it's also just a really, really fun book to read with a really sweet romance in it, and also a lot of sci-fi stuff, and the ending, like, oh my god, just like, if you don't pick up any other book from this video, please pick this one up. It is marvelous. And last one that I have, that also completely blew me away and is another fave, is The Infinity Quartz by Akemi Bowman. This is such a unique storyline. Like, I don't even know how to describe it, like how to give you another recommendation, like how to, I'm speechless. Like, I don't know how to tell you of a book that is kind of like this book, because it is that unique. There might be. I don't know it though. Please drop it in the comments below, as I would like to read some more. And also, again, I don't have the sequel read. But basically, our main character, her name is Nami. She is living her ordinary life. She has a family. She has a mother, father, and a little sister. She goes to a party. Well, she's going to a party one day, and they're like, hey, sneak us some alcohol. And she's like, okay, I'm gonna like go to this convenience store. They don't card that much, and I'm gonna sneak some alcohol. She's there when a gunman shows up, and he is trying to rob the convenience store, and he's a nervous gunman. When Nami notices that there's a little girl, and she's also nervous, she and the little girl accidentally knocks something over, startling the gunman. Nami puts herself between the bullet and the little girl, and she gets killed in the line of fire. When she wakes up, she is in this afterlife where everything is controlled by an AI, and everything is controlled by the AI, like the Alexa type AI. So, you know, like how people have like Alexa on their iPhones and stuff like that. Same concept here, except strangely enough, she's also in the afterlife, but there's an explanation for it. And Nami joins this group of rebels who are trying to take back the afterlife because the AI has went completely bonkers. And there's so much that goes on. It's, oh my god. This is the best way that I can describe it. It's oh my god. super, super well done book. I highly recommend this one. And one more book. I don't have the book, so it's going to be the cover plastered either over here or over here. I can never remember which way. I think it's over here. But it is Iron Widow by Xiran Zhao. I don't know if I pronounced that right. I'm so sorry if I didn't. Please correct me in the comments below. But basically, this book is set in, I can't remember the era that it is set in or inspired by, but basically in this world, there are alien-like things that are attacking Earth, and the best way that we can defeat them is with huge-ass mechas, a la Pacific Rim. So we have developed huge-ass mechas, but only boys can pilot them. It's a very patriarchal society. Ugh. But the worst part is that women who sign up to help the army are basically sacrificed because I don't know if you've ever seen Pacific Rim. I have only seen like the trailers, so I'm very uneducated in how Pacific Rim goes. But basically how this one goes, there are 2 co-pilots, and they have to be able to work together to pilot the mecha. So if the boy pilot finds a female pilot who he works well with and he doesn't instantly kill, they're basically married because they work well. But for some of them, their IQ is like so high that it basically drains the life out of their female co-pilot. And a lot of the male pilots, they kind of prefer this method. It's bananas. Our main character's sister decided to help the ranks or help the military and join, and she has just died. Our main character is very distraught about this, and she does not want to live the life that basically her parents are wanting her to live. So she joins up toward the military to kind of figure out like what happened and to kind of get revenge against the pilot that killed her sister. That is all that she is wanting. She's wanting revenge. So she gets through the test and everything. She gets she gets seated with him, and stunningly enough, she actually kills him because her intelligence is much higher. Surprising, you know. She's super smart cookie. But she kills him, and they pair her with this other guy who always kills the females that he's with because he has like some super high intelligence, and they are very well matched. So it's them kind of versus everyone else, and our main character is very disenfranchised with the whole government system, so now we are against the government. It was a super fantastic book. For this offer, for this to be her debut book, it was probably one of the best things I read last year. And when I remember it, I am still utterly blown away with how well done and how amazing the book was and how it made me feel. The book is also shows a polyamorous romance as the main romance. Like, it made me feel things, and I don't know how to cope with that anymore. It's just, it will be a book that I remember forever, and I can't wait to read the sequel, which is coming out next year, I think, in 2023. That is my super short sci-fi recommendations video. I'm trying to get back into the genre. I was on a fantasy kick, which is why, like, I don't know if you can see it. It might be off camera, but there's like a whole ton of fantasy on these shelves. I was in a fantasy kick. A lot of authors, a lot of authors who write sci-fi, they don't get picked up as publishing as much because a lot of publishers don't see sci-fi selling. But as we have seen, sci-fi does sell. Sci-fi sells a lot. It just needs like the right premise and stuff like that. But yeah, that is it. So thank you guys for watching, and see you again. Bye!